So it's just 1 over n minus 8. The 1, I do need to multiply the top and the bottom by n minus 8. Agreed? And then the 7 over n minus 8, I could just leave as 7 over n minus 8. Agreed? Are the denominators now the same? So all I need to do is now just focus on the numerators. So I can literally disregard the denominators and start to look at this equation. 1 minus n plus 8, remember to distribute the negative sign, equals 7. Now what? Just solve. Negative n equals negative 2. N is dos. Spanish for 2. Now, if I plug 2 back in, it works. What is a number that if I came up with it, it wouldn't work for sure if I plug it back in? 8. Why? 8 would give you 0 in the denominator. You may not have 0 in the denominator, okay? There's a whole study in calculus about that. We come up with 0 over 0 a lot, and that's a big question. What is 0 over 0? Don't get me started. But, you know, 10 over 0, that's for sure undefined. We don't know what that is, okay? We don't know. Could be like positive infinity, negative infinity, who knows? Okay, look at this one. I've got that factors to x times x plus 2. So what's the common denominator going to be? X times x plus 2. So do I have to change the 1? Yeah, I've got x times x plus 2 over x times x plus 2. Equals, do I have to change this? No. 1 over x times x plus 2. Do I have to change this? Multiply by x plus 2. Some of you are groaning because you have to FOIL, like something you've never done it before, but you're really good at it. Imagine if you weren't good at it, it would take you forever. So we're going to distribute through. I've got an x squared plus a 2x equals 1 plus, now we'll multiply that out, x squared plus x minus 2. What to do, what to do, what to do? What do you think, folks? Combine like terms. What happens? Louder. X squareds cancel. Thank you. Awesome. Get rid of them. So I've got 2x equals 2, or 1 minus 2 is negative 1 plus x. Bring the x over. X is negative 1. Now, what number could I not have come up with that would have given me a problem? 0 or negative 2. Negative 2 or 0 would have been very problematic. Everybody agreed? Flip it over. How's it going today? We'll get that name tomorrow. All right. How about C? Bolton? All right, got it. Cool. Good. All right. Wonder if I know all your names. All right. All right. C, what do I do? Fraction equal to fraction, what do I do? Cross multiply. Now, some of you said, multiply the one side by x plus 1, multiply the other side by 3. It's the same thing as what we just did by cross multiplying, right? Just want you to understand that when a fraction is equal to fraction, you may cross multiply. So if x squared minus x minus 2 is equal to 6, now what? It's equal to 0. CTS or how about quadratic formula? If you like complete the square, go ahead. I'm much faster at using the quadratic formula. So that's what I'll choose to do. Negative b is what? 1 plus or minus the square root of. No. 1 minus 4 times a times c is negative 8. But we appreciate the confidence. I know. Yep. No. Nope. Nope. So 4 times 8 gives me 32. So add the 1, I get 33. So x equal to 1 plus or minus the root of 33 all over 2. So that finishes rational equations, but what about radical expressions? For example, in letter D, I square both sides, and I get 2x plus 1 is equal to 9. Subtract the 1, 2x is equal to 8. X is 4. Does it work if you plug it back in? It doesn't. When you plug it back in, you get the square root of 9, which is 3. And it says that you would come out with a negative 3, which is not the case. Okay? And so in this situation, there is no solution. So what I want you to understand is that there are times where if you increase the degree of the polynomial or of the equation, you run the risk of adding a solution. Here's a great example. What is the largest degree or largest exponent in letter E? The variable x has a power of 1. But when I go to solve this, square root of x plus 1 is equal to x plus 4. I add the 3 over. Then what do I do to both sides? Square it. As you can see, the largest degree was 1. But now I get an x plus 1 is equal to x squared plus 8x plus 16. Now what is the largest degree? 2. Anytime you raise the degree, you run the risk of adding a solution that will not work. So I need to be on high alert to check my answers. 0 equals x squared plus 7x plus 15. Now what? Isn't it awesome and beautiful? Some people like to look at art. I like to look at math. B squared is 49 minus 4 times A is 1, C is 15. What do you notice about your discriminant? Discriminant would be the value underneath the square root sign. What do we get? Negative 11. What about a negative 11? Can you take the square root of a negative? You would have to list an imaginary solution. You get x is equal to negative 7 plus or minus the square root of negative 11 all over 2. And if you remember, the square root of negative 11 reduces to the square root of negative 1 times the root of 11. Or negative 7 plus or minus I roots of 11 all over 2. I know. I mean, it's like you gotta see me each day, and it's a tough deal. All right, let's look at F. What do we do to both sides? Now what? We raised the degree, so we should check the answer. Plug 61 back in. What's 61 plus 3? 64. Cube root of 64? 4. 2 times 4? Sweet. Works out. And by the way, in high school we box our answers. In grade school you circle them, but in high school we box them. All right, we move on to our last four examples. Quadratic form. This is the last type of equation I'm going to look for you to solve today. As we look at quadratic form, quad means how many? So if quad means 4, can you tell me why on earth did we ever refer to this as a quadratic? If quad means 4, why did we call this a quadratic? This does factor, right? X minus 4 times x minus 1. And so when you multiply it out, you get x squared minus 4x minus x plus 4. And so as you multiply it out, you have 4 terms before you combine them together. That's why it's called quadratic. That's how it got its name. Now you know. And so this does have quadratic form to it. And here's how we can tell. If this exponent is double that exponent, then it's going to have that quadratic form. For example, if it was x squared minus 13x plus 36, you would say no big deal, right? Well, similarly, if it said x to the 6th minus 13x to the 3rd plus 36, we could still solve it rather easily. And so we will solve this one. What do things multiply to x to the 4th? Two numbers multiply positive 36 that add a negative 13. Do those both factor? Need to write plus and minus. If you don't write plus and minus, it'll be wrong on the test. Everybody good? I should, if you listed it like this, I mean, that's fine as well. Okay, but got to list all 4. Okay, B, I originally intended to do this problem, but I just think it's too complicated for us, so let's put a plus. If you're looking for a challenge, do it with a minus. Okay, so I have 3x squared and x squared. And then it should be a minus 1, huh? So is x squared minus 1 factor? To what? Sweet. What about the first part? Yeah, 3x squared minus 1 equals 0. Now what? Can you take square root of 1? You get 1. Square root of 3. Uh-oh. Don't let rationalizing the denominator ruin your day. There's a lot of other things to ruin your day. Not rationalizing the denominator. Yeah, keep your day. We're good at that stuff. You ready for the really challenging one? What's more difficult about C? Okay, it's got the fractions. Okay. Well, what do you multiply together to get x to the 4/3? X to the 2/3 times x to the 2/3. I can give them the answers before class starts, just so you guys think that. We just team up. All right, now what? Now last hour that I taught this class, third hour, somebody proposed to do something at this point that no other class has ever said before. So we'll see if you guys. Nope, factor the first one. What do you multiply to x to the 2/3? X to the 1/3. Does the second part factor? No. Okay, so let's solve these. So I got x to the 1/3 minus 2 equals 0, or x to the 1/3 is equal to 2. How do I get rid of the 1/3 power? Cube it. I'm going to state it as this. I don't just cube it, but rather I take it to the 3/1 power, right? Because when you take a power to a power, you multiply, and 1/3 times 3 is 1. So you get x to the 1. I mean, that's what's happening algebraically, right? So then 2 to the 3rd is 8. We'll do the next one. X to the 1/3 is equal to -2. What to do to both sides? Cube it. And you get x is equal to -8. Sweet. The next one does not factor. So we say x to the 2/3 is equal to -1. How do we get rid of the 2/3? Raise it to the 3/2 power. The reciprocal will allow that to become an exponent of 1. What is -1 to the 3rd power? -1. Square root of -1? I. R. What if we were all pirates? We're all going to be pirates tomorrow, okay? All right. Okay, last one. What do you want to do first? Jake, you're so loud. Switch it to exponential form. Thank you. So x to the 1/2 minus 5x to the 1/4 plus 6 is equal to 0. What two numbers you multiply together to x to the 1/2? X to the 1/4. Because x to the 1/4 times x to the 1/4 is x to the 1/2. X a fourth plus a fourth is a half. Beautiful. Now what? -3 minus 2. Way to go. So x to the 1/4 is 3. What to do, what to do? Raise it to the 4/1. X is 81. Sweet. Big number, bigger than 80. You do not have to drop out of this class. Show the star quality toughness. X to the 1/4 is 2. What do I do to both sides? It's a 16. Guys, understand, we're trying to take, 2 years of algebra and throw it into 2 weeks, okay? And have you try to remember this stuff. So hopefully you've seen before. You're good to go. You're in good hands. Trust me. Just keep working. Your assignment. .5 pitch 57. Do those.